December 1, 2022, the start of a new Let's Play series. Hello everyone, I call myself Zondagskind, and I like to play Victoria 3. Quick primer, this is a prologue. I go over a bunch of things I go through before unpausing the game. If you just want to see gameplay, then you can go to episode 1. This is an episode for general notices on one hand, and also things I do in-game before unpausing. So, first of all, general notice, the Peru-Bolivia series, at the moment I'm recording this and at the moment this will be uploaded, is still ongoing. So, if you are following that one and you see this one, don't worry, you will know when I end it. And I think there is about a week more of episodes to come. But I also wanted to get going with another nation, just to spice up again. And I've decided it will be Ethiopia, or at least an Ethiopia playthrough, because you can start as Ethiopia. So, first of all, I've decided to go into the egalitarian society mode, or scenarios, as you will. I will explain more exactly in a moment, but basically I wanted to do a fairly liberal run, and I thought, okay, I don't know if I want to go all the way to the end date, but if I do, then I might as well do this and maybe get the achievement for doing the egalitarian society run. Could be fun. So, let's go into select any country. You can do this with any of the scenarios. And before we really get going, I want to give a shout out to Jatelier. He is a YouTuber as well, and he did a run with Shewa forming Ethiopia. In fact, at the moment of recording this, that series is also still ongoing, so I can't speak to the end result of his series. But yeah, his series is a lot of fun. I'll give a link in the description. And I learned a lot both from what he did well and from what, yeah, didn't work out quite as he had wanted. And yeah, some things we both saw could maybe be improved upon. So that was great. So go watch that as well. And then the question is, as which nation do we start? Because as far as I know, you can basically start in any of the tags within the modern Ethiopian borders, and you will have some good events to try and unite Ethiopia. This is where a bit of history comes into play. I'll keep it short, mostly because I'm not knowledgeable enough to speak with any authority. But basically, the map here is a bit of a lie. It kind of pretends that the Ethiopian Empire didn't exist at all, but it did. And it does kind of say it here in the description. The emperor in Gondar has no effective power, and local rulers divide the country between themselves. There was an Ethiopian empire, there was an emperor of Ethiopia at this point, but think of it, or at least it reminded me of the Holy Roman Empire at times, or the Japanese shogunate at times. The emperor was more of a figurehead, and it took a couple of leaders in the Victorian age to really reunite the country, re-centralize it, and modernize it. And that's where the pick for a nation comes into play. I would say gameplay-wise, the strongest one is Shewa. You start with a fairly large population compared to the other states around you. You start with a fairly high GDP compared to the other states around you. You already are present in 2 states. And you're kind of central, and you also don't border scary Egypt. So, that's a couple of reasons why gameplay-wise, I would say if you just want to have the nicest experience, go for Shewa. But, the emperor in Gondar. Gondar is in Begemder. And also in the actual history of Ethiopia, there are basically 3 or 4 emperors who ruled for a long time within the period of the game. The first one was Tewodros II, and he was the one who really re-centralized the country, or at least gave the initiative to that. And he came from Begemder, which is also where Gondar is. That's this city. So that is why I will pick Begemder. If you want to go historical, but from another perspective, Johannes IV, who was basically the next big guy after Teodos, was from Tigray, or Tigray, and Menelik II, who people who like me play Civilization 6 will know as the leader of Ethiopia in that game, was from Shewa. He was the king of Shewa kind of besides Teodos, and later became the emperor of all of Ethiopia, and also really modernized. And he was actually the one who, in this period, ruled the longest. And then the last one is Haile Selassie, who people might know from being an important figure to Rastafarianism, which is cool. But all of that is to say that I have decided to pick Begemder not because they are amazingly strong in comparison to the other tags, mostly because of the history. This is basically like what Aachen was to the Holy Roman Empire, or later basically Vienna, I suppose, or let me think. I think Kyoto to Japan in their kind of decentralized time. So this feels like a right pick, historically speaking. Okay, then. Let's open it up. What do I want to do in this game? Well, first of all, I want to unite Ethiopia. Probably won't get Eritrea for that because it's partly in Egypt right now, so that's going to be tough. But definitely going to make Ethiopia, because that is an achievement, which is here, Solomon's Quest, form the nation of Ethiopia. Beyond that, I would like to expand into these decentralized places. That's one area where I kind of had a discussion with Jataye, who I mentioned earlier, on how to actually do that effectively. And otherwise, I want to go for a pretty liberal run. I feel like with Peru, Bolivia, I was pretty belligerent, and that's a lot of fun. Now I want to do a kind of a liberal run, because the next nation I'd like to play as will also be pretty war-heavy one. And this one also at the start will be pretty war-heavy. But specifically, I want to focus on laws. So, I've actually noted down all the laws I want to change, and basically they all have to change for this to work. So, governance principle-wise, I mean, I like monarchy because you will see that the Ethiopian monarchy flag has the nice lion, and the republic flag doesn't, as far as I know. But I am tempted to go for a presidential or parliamentary republic at some point in this run. Then, definitely, distribution of power-wise, I want to go to universal suffrage. Citizenship-wise, to multiculturalism. That is also a requisite law for the egalitarian society achievement. Total separation of church and state. Either appointed or elected bureaucrats will be fine. Professional army, definitely. Then guaranteed liberties here. I believe that is also a requirement, but I'm not sure. Could also be protected speech. Yeah, it's protected speech. Here, I definitely want to get out of traditionalism. Anything else is fine. Here, I definitely want to get out of isolationism. Anything else is fine. Taxation-wise, I hope to get to proportional or graduated taxation. Then, colonial affairs. Doesn't really matter what it is in the end game. Maybe if I've colonized enough, I will go back to no colonial affairs. But definitely at some point in the game, I will want to do some colonialism. And probably the best way to do that, just in terms of which people endorse that, is through colonial exploitation. Then, police has to be dedicated. Schools have to be public. Healthcare as well, public. And then free speech, I want to have to protected speech, and that is also, I remember now, a requirement for the egalitarian society. Definitely need to get out of serfdom, and then I think in the end to regulatory bodies. Workers' protection in theory is like more liberal. At some point you do run into paying your people too much. Children need to go to primary school, definitely. Women need to be able to vote. Poor people need to be subsidized. Migrants need to be able to come in. Either of these will be fine when we get to multiculturalism, because basically discriminated pops disallowed from migrating when there are no discriminated pops means that everyone is allowed to migrate. And it's just less of a pain in terms of enacting it. And slavery has to be banned. So, that specifically will be my end goal. And do I go to the end date? I am making zero promises, honestly. But only promise is that there will be episodes. Yeah, that is a grade A promise you can really work with. Well, now let's go into the game actually. I see I have bureaucracy to spare. I have authority to spare. You can really tell that it's a monarchy and autocracy, and that everything is super authoritative, authoritarian. We have a bunch of authority. A bunch of diplomacy as well, and some money, so I might think about a construction center, depending on whether we have the resources. That is a huge problem with isolationism. Any good we do not have, we do not have. Let's get some stuff into our outliners. The interest groups, the commanders in theory, we have none. The market and the states. Then nothing in our journal yet, but it'll come, it'll come. And let's look at our buildings. We have 0 urban buildings. Amazing. We have some farming going on. We have some military going on, and we have 0 construction centers. Okay, let's look at our budget. Everything in balance right now. No consumption taxes. We can basically bring those in as we need them. I think the first thing we want to do actually with our authority is bolster the industrialists and the intelligentsia. And I think, well, the thing is, rural folk do endorse some laws I want, and then they hate some laws I also want to pass. So it's tricky. It's tricky whether I want them to be strong or not. I think for the prospect of professional army, I won't suppress them, but I won't bolster them either. The industrialists and intelligentsia are really the 2 interest groups this game kind of revolves around. Basically, research-wise, Jatelier and I diagnosed that colonization is the be-all end-all of your initial tech. And there's no penalty to beelining it. It's a tier 1 tech, so if you were to beeline a tier 2 tech, you get a huge penalty. There's no penalty to beelining this. And we'll get to the why I don't need to go for a military tech first. But let's immediately go towards colonization. Can't build universities yet, so no real way to speed it up. And I can't boost it either by making the intelligentsia happy, because they have 0 clout. Then we have some battalions in reserve. We'll get to that once we get to it. And then I want to start building stuff. Can I get a construction center? It's in here. I would need fabric and wood. Well, let's look at our market. Fabric and wood. Definitely not enough of that yet. Actually, the fabric wouldn't be too much of a problem, but I definitely need more wood before I do anything else. But then, don't I need tools for wood? No, I do not initially. So I could do like 2 logging camps and then a construction sector. So let's queue those up. And a construction sector. And since the initial construction will be free, we can just, let me see. This has no use. This does has this does has use. Excuse me. This does have use. Initially, the armed forces apparently are very unhappy. Why is that? You are a Republican. A Republican in the government right now, or at least in an interest group right now. That is not great. Honestly, I'd like to get rid of this guy, but can't do that for now. But once war starts, we can definitely up the budget for the military, and for now, we can just tax our people very lightly, like as light as we can. Law-wise, is there anything I can use you guys for? Well, we can't do this yet, because we need to... I wish that it was clearer when I look at this, which laws I can, at least in theory, pass, and which ones I just can't. I could, in theory, try for professional army. Apparently, Zenabu Agame specifically likes this because he's a jingoist. I love you. In the early game, jingoists are amazing because they also endorse colonization, and in this game that's just very strong. So I would like to get the armed forces and Sunni ulema in government. Let's see if that tanks legitimacy too much. It's totally fine. So I will confirm, and I will come to this law, and I will try to enact this. Landowners at least don't grow very angry about this, but they will pull up a huge stall. So this is going to be very tough. Yeah, then we have a bunch of bureaucracy, but nothing really to spend it on. So we just take the construction efficiency, that's fine. Then we have more authority, so definitely we can just come into our one state and... Oh, actually, no, you need to invent centralization for that. That's fair. In that case, I'll just go for resource industry. And while we're at it, we might as well do this. More education access. What else are we going to use our authority on, right? And then in terms of diplomacy, I think we don't need to improve relations with the guys around us. I think just for safety, we will improve relations with Egypt. Just hopefully they won't join any wars against us. Yeah, and the rest I don't have to improve with any of these people. I will also... penning a market also doesn't really make sense at this point, because we're just... we can't trade with anyone either way. So, anything else? Also, this is a new mod I downloaded. Two new mods I actually downloaded. Topbar. This just gives you more information in Topbar, especially infamy. Oh, it's so good that you don't have to go here every time you want to look at your infamy. Just, you have it in your screen. It's great. And Sukritact's thicker fonts. Which reminds me, just to do some more general notices, because I think, gameplay-wise, I've set everything up. But I saw in the statistics that most of you actually watch on your mobile phones. Please do tell me, can you actually see the stuff that is relevant? Because I've scaled it to a point where on my relatively big PC screen, this all looks fine. But how is it on your mobile phones? Can you see the stuff you want to see? Please let me know. And the other thing I forgot earlier is what was so cool about the... what is so cool about the Bolivia playthrough, because it's ongoing, is that the plurality of you guys are from South America, and specifically from Bolivia. And I think that's great. And so I hope that this playthrough will attract some people from Ethiopia, or maybe the wider region as well. And if you are from there, please let me know. In the Bolivia playthrough, I had one episode, the one where I had noticed that people were watching from Bolivia, where I said hello in Spanish and like 2 words in what was it again? In Quechua. So if you're from there, please tell me how to do the intro in Amharic and or Oromo, because yeah, that'd be cool if I could like say a couple of words to you guys in your own language. I think I've done everything I wanted to do before unpausing. So if you like this, then please do leave a like. If you have a comment, then please do leave a comment. You can subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.